Hello everyone, today we have a special guest. We have Rint Maxim here, mono green god, showing us his wet green, his SIMIC company list he used to play, and had really good success in Historic, made other pro players play it as well, and as usual when I'm around with some other deck creators, we're gonna talk a lot, so I will definitely have the numbers for the gameplay as well. But if you like to deep dive into the decks, let me know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments if you like these collaborations and us talking a long time about the deck. And yeah, I always enjoy it. I can talk for hours, as many of you know, and yeah, have fun. Welcome everybody to another video here on my channel. Today I have a special guest, a comeback from Rint. Super cool to have you back here, and yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Danny, my friend. Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to be back.
Nice to have you. Today we have, well, a bit of a different Rint deck here. As everyone knows, you're the mono green GOG, and we see a second color in this list. I was definitely surprised to see this. Did you fall to the color of Gandalf, or was the main reason that your mono green became suddenly wet?
Yeah, well, I could do the impossible probably to some extent in the past standard, but unfortunately, this historic format makes it humanly impossible to beat certain decks. That's why I took some inspiration from some of the Pioneer lists and basically tried to adapt the Pioneer version of now we can call it SIMIC Stompy or SIMIC Company to the historic format, where currently there are a lot of combo decks and just some of them are pretty much unbeatable without cards like Decisive Denial here,
Yeah.
which is the main reason.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I saw this card in the spoilers, I was like, wow, that's like Drown in the Lock feeling here. You have a versatile card, especially with Simic colors. You never have a removal and a counter in one, and that's something many decks wanted, right? Because if you play a counter on this slot, the card can be dead against the creature decks.
Yes, absolutely.
And now we have a fight spell. So
Yeah, it's good versus creature decks, good versus non-creature decks. So it's a pretty much perfect package. Yeah, there's no reason not to run it, or there's no reason not to run 4 copies and so on.
yeah, a super cool deck. And yeah, so you played the Simic list in a tournament and you went 6-0, right? And
Yeah, I ran the first SCG satellite. Got some success, made some mistakes in the build of the deck. We can cover them a little bit later. But then, yeah, the deck kind of got picked up by Brad Nelson and kind of exploded a little bit onto the weekly championship. It did die down a little bit, but it is fairly competitive. Just took it fresh to Mythic, so at least there's some kind of success behind it.
yeah, and you made some changes, and we'll definitely talk about the changes after we went through every card. So let's go to the one slot. There are definitely cards we have to play. Llanowar Elf, 1 mana, 1/1, and adds 1 mana. I mean, obviously we wish there's an Elvic Mystic, because going turn 2 into a 3 mana creature, it's just so powerful.
Absolutely. That's what we have in Pioneer. We have essentially 8 Llanowar Elves, but unfortunately we can only have 4 in Historic. So we just throw in the good old Pelt Collector, the next best green drop available. Does not ramp us, unfortunately, into a 3-drop on 2, but still serves a very good purpose of just being a powerful beatdown creature early.
Yeah, super cool card, especially once it has 3 counters. Pelt Collector gets Trample, so a 4/4 Trample always really cool. And Trample is something that is always really nice with Primal Might as well. One of the premium mono green, or let's say green, fight removal spells. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until the end of turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And just putting all the mana into this, fighting and then attacking, feels always really good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a case where it's a matter of card space and card quality in your main board. So again, card is never dead. Obviously, never in a creature matchup, and not really in control matchup, because worst case scenario, you just get to deal some extra damage. You can pump it, regardless if there is anything on board or not.
Yeah, that is a perfect point, because if a traditional fight spell can just be dead, well, this one is worst case a pump spell. So yeah, really good point there. The 2 slot is really interesting. That was the hardest part for me when I also worked on a deck. So we're gonna go to the obvious one. I think that's Scavenging Ooze, 2 mana, 2/2.
Yep.
1 green. We can exile a card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, we get +1/+1 and a life. Yeah, I mean, graveyard is a thing in Historic, definitely, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, first of all, I decided to, of course, cut down a little bit on the copies of Ooze just because Jund Sacrifice decks are not that present anymore in Historic, probably for the same reason because it's a combo-oriented format. So
Mm-hmm.
I cut down to 2 copies. It's not super great versus some of the creature decks, right? Like it dies to Stomp. So I really like the Troll. All around just serves the main purpose of adding to the combat math, right? Getting the beat down faster, trades perfectly with all the early Gruul creatures, even with the Bone Crusher Giant and such.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good old Troll.
Yeah, Barkhide Troll is a really interesting card. It's a 3/3 for 2 because it comes in with a 1/1 counter, and that the ability to remove a counter to give it hexproof is actually way better than you think because sometimes they have eliminate on hand, but you cannot really cast it on that creature. So yeah, or like even a
Yeah,
first or a push. So really cool card. I did totally forgot about that card, but I knew you always liked that card even before, right?
2 mana 3/3.
Yeah,
2 mana 3/3 is bread and butter of any
yeah,
aggro, right? You're
yeah,
looking to play creatures above um, with above average stats, right?
yeah,
2 mana 3/3, 4 mana 3 mana 4/4, and
yeah,
so on, right?
exactly. Yeah,
So that's the whole point.
yeah, really cool card, and yeah, makes total sense. And as you just mentioned before, Decisive Denial is one of the main reasons to go blue. I'm such a fan of this card. I think it's my favorite card from the new set.
Yeah, it's really cool that it actually came here from the latest set, which
Yep.
is also pretty nice.
Yep.
Mixes things up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean that makes the entire deck so like usually when you do a video or any deck guide about a deck, right? Strixhaven obviously had many archive cards for Historic, but this is not even an archive card, and this made this deck possible, which is so cool to see, right? I like it a lot.
Yeah.
The 5 slots, the 3 slots, they are always really interesting. There's so many options. Let's talk about the ones we choose here. One of my favorite 3 drops is Rhonas the Indomitable, 3 mana 5/5 legendary creature god, death touch indestructible. But it only works if we have a creature with power 4 or greater. Otherwise, this card cannot block or attack. The only cool part about this is though, you can still use your fight spell on Rhonas, which is
Yeah.
so good. Which is so good.
Yeah, absolutely. You can kill questing beasts. You can kill higher stated creatures like Gargaroth and things like that. Yeah, it really feels quite nice because sometimes you really struggle with the aspect of the fight spell, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
say you have a 4/4 and you need to remove something like, I don't know, Gruul Spellbreaker, and you end up with a 2-for-1 trade, right? So you
Yeah.
can't throw your fight spells in that case. But Alpha Groans, you don't really care. You can throw anything you like.
Yeah. And for 3 mana we can give another creature trample and +2/+0, which is also so powerful, right? The combat math gets so much trickier when suddenly every creature, like even a troll or a Steel Leaf champion, is trample. And I
Yeah,
love it, man.
absolutely. It gives you. It's a great mana sink. It allows you to not overcommit with your board. So if you feel like there's a sweeper coming in or something like that, you can just slow roll your hand and instead use Rhonas
Mm.
activation. Yeah, it's great.
And I just like the god, the artwork, like the snake and that feeling.
Yeah, that's a proper
Yeah.
mythic green rare for sure.
Yeah, I like this one. I think this is the coolest god in my opinion, just from the feeling. Like, yeah. But yeah, Rona's just super powerful. And yeah, then we have Cassandra Mammoth here. 3 mana, 3/3, landfall +2/+2, and a land, right? I mean, if you play a deck like this, you kind of want at least 2 of them in your deck.
Yeah, so the biggest reason here we can actually take a look at the mana base, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
original list, I had actually made a big mistake of running 22 lands flat and not even a
Mm-hmm.
single mammoth, right? So that was definitely a mistake because if you want, so okay, we can count our Llanowar Elves like 4 Llanowar Elves.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty close to 2 lands, right? So four
Yep.
Llanowar roughly equates to 2 lands in your deck, right? So This number actually puts us at quite a decent count. So the problem with the deck is you can't afford to screw. Of course, you want to play on curve, and you want to curve with your 4-drop. And to consistently curve into your 4-drop, you should run around 25 lands. So we have 23 lands flat, we have 2 manas, and we have 4 land rolls, which puts us at, well, effectively 27. But also, flooding is really painful with the deck. That's why the additional mammoths can really come in. Maybe there's even a better configuration. Maybe we can cut an extra land, play the 3rd mammoth. I haven't really experimented with that yet, so kind of found a little sweet spot here. So in place of mammoth, I was actually thinking about, and originally ran Garruk's Harbinger. I was really not as impressed with the card, honestly, because even the fetching effect, or rather like the draw effect off of Garruk's Harbinger, was not super exciting, because in most matchups I would want to find non-creature spells, because finding random bodies was kind of weird in a lot of matchups, like auras or control matchups, or combo matchups, right? I actually don't want to bottom my non-creature spells, right? So
that is
drawing creatures was not even super relevant. I want my companies, I want my counter spells. So I settled with the mammoth just to help out, help smoothen out the mana base a little bit.
I think the math features did there. I showed you my list before, right? The way I went, I had 22 lands and 3 mammoths.
I think that's totally fair.
Because of the same reason, like the way you just explain it is perfect, just perfect. So I'm super happy about that. The Harbinger is also a really interesting card, right? I think you can definitely say, okay, if opponent is playing, let's say, rogues, or you face a lot of rogues,
mono black aggro, things like that. Even
then that card is just farming them, right?
Now, to be fair, as we get to the sideboard, we'll also see that now there's an extra case for Garruk's Harbinger, because we can actually find our answer to the Tainted Pact combo with Nimble Obstructionist. So
that's a really
Harbinger hits are going to matter a lot if we can actually get like pretty much our win condition, with the Obstructionist.
Interesting point, let's have a look at Old Grove Troll. I have to say, this card impressed me the most when I played this list. 3 mana for 4 trample, and when it dies, we can attach it to a forest, and the forest can either be add 2 green mana or 1 sacrifice the card and create a 4/4 green troll warrior tapped. What I loved about this card is sometimes if you need that 4 mana, right? That sweet spot of 4 mana, and this is your turn 3 drop. Okay, I will have this.
You're always happy to trade, attack, and block with the troll no matter what. It's actually a good point that it does help add to that curve out potential with your deck, or if you're mana hungry, because you'll always want to hold on to some counter spell mana as well with Decisive Denial, so it can just help just cast out things and keep some mana available at the same time. This card is like just it's kind of mono green deck in a nutshell, I would say. It just contains in itself everything in a mono green aggro deck wants to be doing, right? You want to play, again, like we said, of course, creature with above average stats, so stats that are higher than the mana cost. So we got a 4-mana 3/3. We got a built-in trample, which is just so perfect. And we want that extra recursion, right? Let's say we get swept. Of course, we lose to creature removal and sweepers, but this time you have kind of a recurring threat. You can fire it, end of your opponent's turn, get a 4/4. It's pretty awesome.
Super cool card. This one, it's a kind of sad we don't see it in standard because of ultimatum, basically, but I love the card. I think
Lovestruck Beast, of course, right, is a big argument.
Exactly.
So since we are running a collected company version where Lovestruck Beast is not that great, because it doesn't enter, it has a risk of not being able to attack if you don't have a 1/1 in play.
Exactly.
So Troll is definitely a choice.
Great. And then Steellift Champion, what an amazing card. 3 mana, 5/4. Steellift Champion can be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. What I love about this card is playing this on turn 2 against goblins. That's like my favorite thing to do.
That's how you win pretty easily in a couple of turns.
Super cool card. I mean, that's all it does, but strong.
It's probably the card that inspired me to start playing mono green on Arena in the first place. Like when I logged into the game and I decided to click what kind of green creatures were available. I was like, what is this? Because I haven't seen a 3-mana 5/4 in such a long time. There was like a Naya colored Woolly Thoktar and Shards of Alara, which was also 3 mana 5/4. But this time I see, wow, there's also an ability and evasion like that. It's just insane. So yeah, again, a perfect card for our deck.
Yeah, such a cool card. And then we go to the 4 slot. You worked on that a lot, right? So we have 2 Collector Company for mana instant, where you can look at the top 6 card, put up to 2 creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and put the rest on the bottom of your library. And clearly, the deck is designed that most of our cards we can hit. There are like some sweet spot numbers, right?
26 hits. The borderline number of hits for a Collected Company is 22, so we're well above that as well, and we have some options in the sideboard too. So normally there should be no problems with that, right? I mean, sometimes of course it happens where it breaks heavily, but
it can happen, right?
It still hasn't happened to me in a while. Like I can't really even remember the last time.
Yeah.
Okay, like last time was real bad when I got like 1 Llanowar Elf probably, but yeah.
Yeah, that when I see this happening to an opponent, I'm always feel really sorry for it because I don't want it to happen to me, right? So I do understand that. So my question here is, we talked about this briefly before. We have the number 2 right now. The deck you played before had 4, and many had 4 as well. So why do we have 2 Collected Company right now?
Yeah, absolutely. This kind of has been the biggest struggle for me so far. Quite often, I was very unhappy with Collected Company decks like Golgari or Gruul or Mono Green, and the reason for that is, as we said, it was very well described by Paulo in the reigning world champion, of course, in his take on Gruul Company. And he also was running just 1 copy, right, and the rest were Cleaves and Questing Beasts and stuff like that. And the reason for that, and I agree completely with that take. In a deck like this, you don't really have a whole lot of synergy with some kind of combo potential, like let's say Mayhem Devil, Woe Strider, and John Sacrificer. You don't have powerful enter the battlefield effects in something like Spirits or like Apparition, right? Like flashing in your Apparition can be pretty brutal for your opponent. It can completely flip the game on its head. And I noticed that in some matchups, Company is just not impactful enough. If you're playing against something like Is It Prowess or like Is It Tempo, whatever you want to call it, okay, you just get a couple of bodies, but you lose in the race. You get smashed in the air, in the face for a lot of damage, and there's nothing you can do. Same thing with auras. What are you going to do? Okay, maybe you can find Rhonas or something, but then you get, Myers Grasp, Intervention, or Healer's Punishment, not Intervention, Punishment, and things like that. So that's why I ultimately decided for this last version, which I haven't read in any tournaments yet, I decided to go with a split of 2 and 2 with Company and Vivian, because Vivian can completely dominate a creature matchup. You just hide behind it like a stone wall. It's also a very important piece of removal in auras. It's a super important piece of removal in some of those prowess decks, again, where you simply have to get a flyer out, take a flyer down. So I just realized that there's just sometimes not enough impact. But of course, we do have the 2 extra copies of Collected Company in the sideboard when we actually have to face creature matchups, right? Or actually something like control matchups. And of course, Tainted Pact combo, where you want to play instant speed as much as you can.
Yeah, because they have all the room. Yeah. I mean, that makes total sense, and I think the explanation why there's 2 is just so perfect. And I mean,
I think it's a fair approach. It worked for me pretty well.
I felt that too,
and
right?
we do have that extra flexibility in the sideboard too.
I mean, it's great to have like 2/5/5 or 2/4/5/4, but there's no synergy. You still need to fight through everything, and it's perfect.
Exactly, you need some kind of support, right, to your creatures. You can't just be throwing bodies. They're just not going to do it. And Vivian is kind of one of those cards that is never dead. Is pretty good in the creature matchups. Right, it has the offensive and like removal potential. Just the perfect card for the deck again. Just when it comes to card quality.
I can definitely see that, and really good point. We don't really have enter the battlefield triggers as well. So I mean, this is the main deck, and in the lands we have Hashep Oasis, which is sorcery speed +3/+3, which is always nice with our Trampler if we want to fight something bigger. And we have a lot of access to different 2-color mana here. And Sanctum and Breeding Pool, obviously the premier ones. Pathway, good.
There could be a bit of a different approach to building the mana base. You could actually run 4 copies of Hinterland Harbor and maybe avoid some of the inconveniences with Barkchannel Pathway or Tidechannel Pathway, because often you can't really drop it on blue, and then you kind of end up losing your blue source. That sometimes can be critical. But still, I found the mana base to be functioning pretty well. If you go heavy on the harbors, you could kind of struggle a little bit with your Oasis count. So you would probably have to cut the Oasis from your deck.
Okay.
But I think Oasis won me a fair share of games as well, because it's kind of like essentially haste damage. It could be a pretty good, like a checkmate type of situation. Let's say you have some kind of board, you fire your collected company, your opponent counters the company, but then you have Oasis to activate and still swing for a lot of damage. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, well, super good explanation. I also think I really like the artwork for Hinterland Harbor, but that's about it. I think this one seems better, but to be honest, I mean, you as a mono green, before we go to the sideboard, you as a mono green fan, you have to say SIMIC has some really cool land artwork.
Yeah. This Pathway is my favorite for sure.
I mean,
as well.
Isn't it like mono green are the creatures, and SIMIC technically evolves the creatures? So isn't that your your evolution as well here, right?
Some sea creatures will like them too. All the wildlife is very nice. And I kind of tend to like the SIMIC combination a lot, just because of the past two limited sets in Zendikar and Kaldheim. SIMIC was my favorite color combination, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I always loved it, and
even though I hate blue, let's be honest.
I mean, blue with the right combination, right? Is good.
Just joking, of course. All the colors are great.
I think blue with green is totally fine. It's always fine. That's how it is. But yeah, let's have a look at the sideboard. So we have two more Scavenging Oozes here. I mean, we clearly know for which matchup.
Yeah, this is for your typical graveyard strategies like Arcanist and Sacrifice and things like that. Just because we're not a resolved and out of control ooze can just win the game by itself, right? Or rogues as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, against rogues this is so good. If they don't have the answer, they just cannot deal with it. And I love ooze, yeah. And now we come to a card. It's just so cool to see that here, and it's Barrier Breach, 3 mana, instant, exile up to 3 target enchantments, and cycle 2. So explain us this one.
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious one, right? We want to improve our matchup against Orge of Auras. So number 2 losing matchups for the deck, as I briefly looked at it, were Orge of Auras was number 1, number 2 was Tainted Pact combo, and number 3 was Selesnya Company. So Orge of Auras were still number 1, right? For obvious reasons, it's very hard to beat that deck without any sort of removal, right? Like unconditional removal. So all our removal is already conditional, and sometimes we might not have a creature with enough power in play to beat the core Spirit Dance or SRAM that requires an immediate answer. So in the normal scenario where you win, you just curve out, obviously, with your creatures as always, but then you don't get stonewalled by this massive Spirit Dance with First Strike and Vigilance flying and Lifelink sometimes. And you're free to attack. You're absolutely free to attack with that card. So again, it's kind of a pseudo Pioneer replacement for Back to Nature, which is a 2 mana, 1 any color, 1 green, instant speed, destroy all enchantments. Would be pretty good.
Cool card. I think we need that one.
Yeah, we have a really nice alternative though. We have an exile effect. We can exile Hateful Eidolon, and we can strip that Spirit Dancer very nicely of Kaya's Ghost Form, Demonic Vigor, and things like that, and reduce the stats. Most importantly, again, the whole reason we'll lose is because they get too big on the stats with the Spirit Dancer to the point where not even our massive 5-power creatures can't attack. So this card actually won me some games. It's been on stream, so you can find your confirmation there. And this card definitely made the Orge of matchup not as scary as it used to be.
Yeah, I have to say the artwork of this card is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
What an artwork. That monster just doesn't care.
Yeah,
I love it. Amazing. Yeah, It's such a good idea. And I want to test this as well now, but after the video. So yeah, really cool card. Also, if you really don't need it, you can still cycle it. But I didn't even know that card existed. Someone told it to me recently. Yeah, it's really.
Well, it's not really relevant at the time. I agree. It was really hard to figure out where to use it because it doesn't hit, let's say, Embercleave, right? It's just enchantment specific. That's why it's a little tricky. But obviously, I respect the Orge of Auras enough to run 3 copies in my sideboard for this.
It's so cool to see cards that don't see play suddenly see play because, yeah, it's the best card for that matchup. I always love to see that, and yeah, Barrier Breach definitely hits that spot perfectly. And then, as you mentioned before, we have 2 more Collected Company.
For all the control matchups, essentially.
Yeah, and now we come to a card where it's really funny that I was talking. I played the Isid list from Crookies, and there was a nimble in the sideboard, and I said I want more nimbles because of those in those decks. And I'm pretty sure it was the same logic for you. 3 mana, 3/1, flash flying, that's all fine, but cycling 3. When you cycle Nimble Obstructionist, counter target activated or triggered ability you don't control. And there are some decks we definitely like this ability.
Yeah, well, of course, number one reason, and again, big respect to this deck in terms of hate, right? It's number 2 losing archetype for us, Tainted Pact combo. And I lost plenty of games to that deck when I have my Denial, and I used to run Negates in that slot as well.
Yep.
You can have whatever in Miscast. You can even play the SIMIC Repudiate card from Guilds of, from Ravnica Allegiance, whatever, where you can counter a trigger. But the problem becomes Pact of Negation. Pact of Negation, Mystical Dispute. You are struggling enough to keep your mana, but then for your counterspell to be countered also.
Yeah.
Wow, it's really absolutely brutal. And I don't care about Pact. They just win the game if they secure their combo. So this allows us to pretty much be an unconditional counter because we cycle. We are not casting a spell. It can be countered. It's pretty genius. Now the 3 mana is a pretty hefty price. Of course, it's pretty painful to even hold up 2 mana. 3 is even worse. However, in some cases, it's a beating body. It's a decent beater with flash as well, which is a pretty big deal because if our opponent's tapped out, we don't really care. Of course, we want to maintain some sort of pressure on the Pact deck because we also want to win and of course not die through combo. So this allows us, in some situations, it's actually a company hit too, which might not be actually ideal, right? Because you want this thing in your hand. But if for some reason you have that extra copy, you can just flash the creature in, attack for 3. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I really like this card a lot. Also, where I found, there's one matchup that I think can go both sides, which is Goblins, right? Goblins has this 6 mana Moxus, which when that card resolves and the trigger resolves, that's so much pain. But if you have a Nimble, right, it just stops Moxus as well. So that is really cool in my opinion. That matchup, which, as I said, I mean, creature decks that go super wide or super big are not that nice, right? So having a way to stop it is super cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially since you're not running Cage anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Which in Mux's days, or like when Goblins were really popular, you would definitely run 3 or 4 cages. Now it's just kind of not possible. I mean, well, Goblins are not that popular for some reason anymore, but definitely, yeah, it's nice because it becomes really impossible to keep all the sideboard space. You only have 15 cards, and there's so many matchups you have to worry about now.
Yeah, Goblins is also one of those decks that always comes back once people have no Cage in the sideboard. So I played against some Goblin decks recently. I'm pretty sure they come back. It's always the same, and then people, I have to use my sideboard again.
And to be fair, Cage can also be pretty easily answered in that deck with a Braid or a Thrashmaster.
Exactly. This is really hard. A cycling ability, right? There's not many cards that deal with it, like Tail's End and stuff, but who's,
Yeah,
so
but the opponent's counter magic in that case is really a big problem.
Yeah, super cool. And then we have Shifting Ceratops, the dinosaur here, 4 mana, 5/4, cannot be countered, protection from blue, can get haste, reach, or trample. I mean, this is the anti-control card.
Yeah, pretty awesome versus super popular Memory Labs.
Yep.
Pretty good versus things like Phoenix and all their Drakes and Stormwind entities, stuff like that. I mean, your occasional blue-based creature decks like blue-based tempo decks and stuff like that, and maybe spirits and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty solid addition. Like all around, you have to have some kind of anti-counter decks, maybe even flash decks. Sometimes you encounter those as well still.
Yeah. And then 3 Great Henches. If we play creature matchups, we play the Great Hench, and the ones that this is resolved and stays on the board, I think. It's game.
It's the easiest way to beat Gruul aggro. It's like essentially free. So maybe I respect those a little too much, but I think 3 copies is solid for now. Maybe you could just feel free to trim one. And the biggest turning point for me, even last month, even before Strixhaven was released, is not to run the Great Henge in your deck. Just because, you know, versus these combo synergies, it just does nothing. You know, so as powerful of a card as it is, it's all about board presence. But if you have a 20/20 Spirit Dancer, no matter how many creatures you get off of that, like, you're probably not winning that game.
Yep.
And the same thing goes for all the whatever pact combos, things like that. You want to go hard, you want to go fast and beat them in the face. Basically, that's all. So Henge is just for those matches where you kind of have to play control, right? And you do that versus other creature decks, essentially, like Gruul Aggro, maybe mono red, maybe some mono white, and
some
things
other
like that.
companies' deck, right? Like the Selesnya deck.
It's a little bit tricky when it comes to some of the other creature matchups like Selesnya and Mono Black, even just because of the hand disruption and just a lot of removal. It's really hard to resolve the card. So we'll get to see if we get matched against some of those.
It's a really good point. It's a good point, but Selesnya usually
number one,
really, like,
number one is of course Gruul Aggro, right? That's a no-brainer to run it, and it does wonders. It's just free wins for you if it resolves.
Yeah. There's one card I want to talk about. I was thinking about it in the sideboard once. Phoenix came back really strong, right? And I mean, obviously we have Oasis, but it can be tricky. What do you think about the 4-mana 3/5 spider that creates a 1/2 reach spider every time the opponent casts
Arasta of Endless Web?
Yeah, I was actually thinking of this in the sideboard because everyone was playing it again, and I was like, boy, I want Arasta so much. And now with not having too many companies in a main, that's maybe something to think about.
That could be cool. Why not? Versus Phoenix, it seems pretty decent. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's how you mostly die. You know, versus these tempo decks, if they get the Sprite Dragon out of control, or Phoenix or whatever, or the big Drake, it's definitely a way to lose. So you kind of lose to flying quite a bit. Sertubs does not quite do it, because you have to still have that one extra 5th mana for reach, and they can find also a pretty easy answer in the red colors to deal with the setups, like Lightning Axe,
exactly,
Lava Coil, and whatnot.
And if the Lightning Axe your spider, you still have a 1/2 reacher, and they discarded the card, so the trade is immense there, I think.
It could be something.
Just to throw it out there, but I think we covered all the bases, and let's jump into games. Let's see. We play against Tesseract 237 with a Tesseract avatar.
All right.
Just for the viewers, I was actually 69, and now we're 70 because we had a long deck tech. Okay. We start. We take it.
All right. Okay, that's actually interesting here. So number one thing, we can actually safely drop this Mammoth and dodge Inquisition or Thoughtseize into our land, which is kind of nice. So, kind of a tough call. I mean, it could be enough to win.
It's the hardest call ever. This is the hard one, right? I think we believe.
Yeah, I would keep it. I'd probably keep it, especially not knowing what we're up against.
I think we just drop the Mammoth here, right?
If we're playing against some of the aggro, we start with the Mammoth for sure.
I mean, I believe that there's a land here, but we go with the Mammoth here, 100%. And Trolls are still really strong, right? Because they overcurve.
Yep. We got Passage, no Companion. Okay, probably Gruul. And we got our land 3. All right. I mean, we have a decent land count, so...
Definitely.
We don't really need to, worry too much, though. So 2 lander like that is okay. All right. Cold Steel Heart. Interesting. Green. Wow. Not entirely sure what that is, even. So here...
Shock.
Yeah, we want to shock ourselves in, that's for sure. But now, I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure what we're up against. If we're going against white-red, it could be a risk of...
Yeah, I mean, it's also green.
Like that. I would probably think that's Niv. And there's going to be definitely Clarion coming in.
Possible.
To be on the safe side, I'd probably just gem Rhonas and attack for 3. And then see what happens.
That's fair.
We are playing our most expensive spell at the same time too, so...
Yeah, mana efficiency is a thing. A binding.
Binding, alright. That is fine. We can live with that. Okay, we can probably just dump our hand at this point. So if they played Yeah, that's actually nice. So we also get to keep the ooze. So even if they wipe us, we'll have some sort of pressure. We'll take for 5 next turn because we have 4 mana and we can eat 2 creatures. Yeah, definitely looking like Niv, right? Extinction event. Yikes.
Odd, okay.
Pretty brutal.
Brutal, yeah. Well, the Primal Might I think was actually a decent one here. I think you have to ooze here.
Yeah, we'll just use an attack.
I mean, we have technically a way to deal with then if miss it.
All right. Oh, there's a Clarion.
They have
Yeah,
everything.
we definitely dodged it on turn 3.
Yeah, they have everything.
But they got us with event, so that's fine.
Yeah, I think we solved this.
Yeah, we can save the stuff potentially. All right, that's fine. Yeah, pretty rare animal these days.
Yeah,
and
they have
but
it.
you can see our opponent is tier 4, so they probably don't care. They just want to play a couple games.
Yeah, that's definitely been a while. I mean, now if they unmore
It's gonna be
Egos,
interesting. They have a couple
we're
of.
gonna leave.
Yeah, we can scoop it up. It's fine.
We definitely don't show the entire deck here.
Yeah.
It's
So we would want to definitely board in the 2 copies of Company, and the only other thing to think about is probably Ceratops.
What do you think of
I'm
Nimble?
not sure we want the obstructions here.
Oh.
I think it's like really pact specific.
I mean, it works against Niv Mizzet and against removal, right? And against the bot wipes, which is an interesting thing to think.
Well,
but then they still have a 6/6 body, right? So it's not perfect.
Yeah. So I would consider 1 extra Ceratops.
Mm-hmm.
Usually Primal is pretty good, so the cuts are gonna be pretty hard here. Because we do want that Primal Might in there, right? For the most part. Denial is also pretty important. It's a really hard one. Since we're going first, I would say maybe we can get away with cutting the Primal Might. Maybe it just entirely is okay. I mean, if we go first with Vivian, we'll have a decent enough board to minus them down. We can still minus off of Rhonas and Denial off of Rhonas. So I think that's fair. I would try to run it like that. This is my this kind of a sideboarding plan versus Jeskai control mostly. So
yeah, I mean it was definitely something I did not expect to see here.
All right,
thank you.
It's pretty sweet. We can play a Harbor as well.
It's definitely nice.
Okay. Cage, wow, quite brutal actually.
Yeah. Cannot drop all the elves here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if we drop the Mammoth, we don't have
the fall
Vivian guaranteed next turn. If we wanted to play the elves, maybe we're supposed to play a Mammoth tapped, actually.
That is true. Or we can just slam in Rhonas here as well.
Yeah, actually, I don't really mind Rhonas. Rhonas is an okay play. Because we are okay if we can slow roll it a little bit and maybe still we want to use this Mammoth as a land.
Yeah. Right now we have a lot of lands technically on our hands.
Another heart, okay. So the problem is now we don't really have an answer to that cage.
Yep.
Alright, that's actually really sweet right now. It's kind of a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
What is the color on the heart?
It is
what color
white.
Did you choose? It's white, right? So it's not black. So maybe we'll dodge the binding. Yeah, let's just slam Vivian. Let's just resolve Vivian. And we can just put 2 counters on this elf. I think we should be in a pretty good spot after that.
Yeah, and also I just want to say, we can even play Mammoth next turn and get it out of Clarion range and activate Rhonas.
That's definitely a good idea. So our Rhonas should be probably attacking. We're kind of missing out on the damage. Yeah. It's possible for them to still play the event, but
yeah, event is the most dangerous card to face.
They did not put the heart on black, so we probably could dodge that. And it's just really hard for them to answer Vivian. Oh boy, here it comes.
Oh boy. That's not cool to see. I mean, how many events do they play, right? Like, it's every time you play against a 5-color deck, it's like...
Prismari Command, alright, that's pretty good for us.
Yeah, that's damage. That's us saying hi to your opponent. Okay. That's not really... Oh, wow.
The Magic Verse, right? That's a pretty good multicolored card, to be fair.
Yeah.
Alright, ooh, that's a good draw. We
Slam
definitely
it.
want to play the Troll and smack them for 8.
Still, no extinction in place.
So, what do you think about this Mammoth? I think I would just drop it tapped, honestly.
Yeah, if you find a land,
I'm super
we have
greedy, yeah.
potential 2 activations, right?
Oh boy.
Opponent is on fire.
Yeah, now we get the denial. Alright, we can go double Llanowar. We get wrecked by Niv again.
Yeah, opponent is clearly on
Like-
fire. Okay,
Alright.
sure.
Okay, fair enough.
Any creature in the deck? Well, I definitely do not want to find the company up top. Ooh,
Okay.
hello,
Sweet.
hello, beauty.
Let's go. I mean, to be fair, they did not do a whole lot of card draw, scrying, or anything, so we kind of ended up being okay.
Okay.
Ceratops is really just a huge deal. There's not a lot they can do to stop it, really, except for another sweeper.
Yeah.
Since there are a lot of blue-colored creatures, like even the Scarab Yacht and
Yep.
Niv and
That
stuff
was
like
the
that.
card we were
Alright.
looking for. That was absolutely the card we were looking for.
So I still like that, you know, from back in the day, from keeping just one on the sideboard for Vivian
Yep.
-5. So
I know
we
what
can
you
probably
mean, yeah.
stick with the same plan. Now the only challenge here is really that cage. We really do not have an answer,
Yep.
which could be exposed as one of the flaws in this deck as well. We do not have anything like Reclamation Sage or stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to say now. We could trim the number of companies here. One thing we could do is probably, like one thing we can maybe do is answer the cage with Decisive Denial. That's kind of our only answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think Decisive Denial should also be destroying target artifact or enchantment as a third option.
That would
but,
be really good, yeah. We take that one.
If that's the case, maybe we could just split our companies with the Great Hinge.
I think that is what I would do as well, yeah.
We could go 2 and 2, I think.
Yeah, I think that is the way to go as well.
Alternatively, we could just play Primal Might as well, since they will be going
Yeah.
first.
I mean,
Also-
we still don't have like good information on their deck, right? We know they play many different cards. That's about it. And
Okay, that's somewhat acceptable.
yeah,
I think we can just keep that and still go Llanowar in turn 1.
mm-hmm. I agree.
Even if they remove Llanowar, okay, perfect. Pretty good. We'll see what we want to do with our top deck. Cage. Okay, we kind of, you know, operating pretty well. If this was a company, we would be pretty sad right now.
It would be really sad, yeah.
At least now you could consider that, okay, they spend 1 card to counter one of our cards. Okay,
is
I would
really
slam
good.
Mammoth.
Yeah,
I would
Mammoth,
just slam
you're right.
Mammoth and just... We have a nice turn 3 play, even if they play something like Deafening Clarion.
Yeah.
We can still have the Troll, which is good.
Yep.
Good news. We have the Forest in
if
play
they
as well.
don't,
Okay,
that
no
is it.
Clarion.
That is
So
it.
they might be... Okay, we sacrifice Llanowar. Do we?
I think we do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're chilling.
It's not cool. It was not that cool. But we do.
We
I'm
lose our mana source. I was excited for a second, thinking we could still cast Hinge. But
yeah, I was so too. But
that would be too good. Now we're back to playing standard mode.
yeah, so
Alright, so we can...
it's the interesting turn now. Oh, we definitely swing
I think
here.
we want to play around Extinction Event a little bit.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Maybe we could slow roll the Pelt Collector a little bit, but I don't think it's a good plan, right? Just play it, I would say. Just play that and the Troll.
Yeah, I think
It's
so
fine.
too.
Like, of course, we're also not guaranteed the 4th untapped land
Yeah.
off the top.
Which would be an argument for this one, right? Because it dodges the Clarion. Well, this doesn't dodge Clarion, so it's a really hard thing.
Helix is fair, that's fine.
Yeah.
Especially since they're kind of mana screwed. Alright. Yeah, we'll definitely play the big Troll.
Yep.
attack, no problem, no worries. They do
Now
have the black swords with the trial, but
yeah, I mean, we have 2 creature out of Clarion range, and we have
we're
one...
missing our land drops and drawings. The second hinge is not great. Binding is fine though, so they're close to dying. They're dead to Oasis, maybe. All right. Yeah, we probably want to play both of our creatures as well right now, since they showed us that they are pretty big on event. So now Nev is not really gonna help them.
No.
Yeah, we'd play the Llanowar because now
that's nothing.
we have either 5 or 6 power after event, right? So
that's really important. Plus, we can just swing through Mythic.
Yeah, it was really hard for them missing these land drops. I mean, we had a really nice curve. So as you can see, we can really still sequence things properly, even with the Mammoth.
Yeah, and we figured out how to play against the cage, and yeah, let's do another one. Easy, I would say, right? Yeah. We sadly didn't, but
yeah,
still, it's all good. Jockey, okay. I mean, finding Niv Mizzet is just a raw thing in general. Oh yeah. I mean, I wish there would be a 3-drop, but we just draw the 3-drop off the top here, so.
Yeah, pretty easy. There are a lot of those.
Yeah, that's the plan here.
Always important to note to start with Botanical Sanctum on turn 1, because, you know, if you draw 3 of them, you want to drop all of them back to back. I think we play Steel Leaf on 2, and I mean, yeah, there's a small. We don't know what we're playing against, so there's like very little argument to play Llanowar and Barkhide. It's not great for just like baffling end. Maybe they'll show it to us. So Luminarch, we're fine. We're chilling. So yeah, we definitely just slamming our Vivian, and I think we want to minus down this aspirant. That's the kind of like very sweet spot, especially with green white. They cannot haste Vivian down or like stomp it or something. So we're chilling.
Yeah, we have a really I mean the worst card is Apparition that deals with Steel Leaf Champion, and then our other creatures are just becoming as strong, right? Like this.
All right, there's the Apparition. Yeah. They're probably they take a Steel Leaf. I'm not sure if I entirely agree with that, but fine. Yeah, I think
we play everything and shock.
We might want to keep. Well, we'll be able to keep 1 mana for hexproof, so we can just shock ourselves in.
Exactly.
And so let's see here. What could they do? Company, right? On 4 would be the most powerful. Oh. We can pump our Llanowar for 1 and Troll for 1.
That's exactly what I would do, yeah.
Yeah. Just get that 2 extra damage in there. And then we would just want to, like, pump the hell out of this Troll, because it's really going to be an unstoppable force here, really.
The Troll with Vivian is so powerful as well. Yeah. Okay, 2 damage secured.
So the worst case scenario would be actually another Apparition into Vivian this time.
Yep.
But if they do that, we're most likely going to connect for 6. Okay, this Spellbinder, sure thing.
That's not doing a lot in this case scenario.
It's actually quite annoying. It can clear our Vivian too.
Yep.
But that's why this matchup is really very hard. So...
Okay, opponent did not agree.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to see this scoop very premature, because they can clear Vivian next turn. Okay, now here's to the fun part. From my experience, and it's very, very small experience playing with this matchup, I don't think we want to play the Great Hinge. I think we want to play everything instant speed. We want to play Collected Company, those 2 extra Collected Companies, and like I'm not sure, Vivian's pretty sweet, but
I do still like it.
We could probably like cut, I don't know, like 1 Rhonas and one something, 1 Denial, something like that.
In my experience,
so I don't know if this plane backfires. Like we could try playing it, but the problem is it's really, really next to impossible to resolve Hinge and stick it on board, because they're also gonna have Knight of Autumn. They're gonna have Elite Spellbinder, making this card cost like what, 11, right?
Yeah. So
and it's kind of a disaster.
I would cut the Old Growth Troll in this matchup.
Yeah, we could try that. I don't really mind anything, because it makes sense because of a Lovestruck Beast, right?
Yeah, Lovestruck Beast and Apparition makes this card way worse, right? While Rhonas, they can always only deal with Apparition, and it's
And
just so
also,
strong.
they're probably most likely going to bring Fairgrounds Warden as well.
Mm.
And if they remove either of your big creatures, like Rhonas won't be able to block. Check how many creatures we see for company. We have still for company.
This should be 24.
24. And 24 is okay, still acceptable, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you probably have to keep all denials because you have to find a way to answer their hinge and their
exactly.
company and things like that. So, but overall, it's a nightmare of a match because of Apparition and actually Spellbinder. So thank you, Paulo.
Those two cards are really, really strong.
Yeah, it's really a nightmare. So we have a sweet opener, and I'm really concerned with Knight of Autumn into hinge. Yeah, it's just so sad. So I feel like we want to use our company to try to dodge their apparition and all that stuff, you know?
Yep, that is completely true, yeah.
Again, we kind of having a super nice opener here.
We have decisions right, again.
I kind of don't like the Selesnya company too much. Yeah, I think we still slam our Steel Leaf regardless.
I think so too, because if we play the Troll, then they get rid of Elf, and then we cannot play company next turn.
Yeah, we want to run as fast as we can here as well. We want to pressure them. Like, okay, that's really nice. We can just play company end of turn, or yeah, we can just chill here.
I like the shock here because it's like I have blue, by the way.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
Giant Killer.
Yeah, we counter it. I think we counter it.
Yeah,
it's just too much.
Especially,
we also get rid of the creature and we can slam our 3/3, so that's pretty good. They're getting quite far behind here.
Exactly. We have a follow-up of the counter, so it makes this play even better.
Yeah, of course, like in this case, hinge would be a pretty... Yeah, okay. I mean, definitely, like, it doesn't go that well that often, right?
But but there we go.
I think it's the right philosophy, you know?
Yeah.
We need to try to out-tempo them, essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way we can leverage our Decisive Denial, and that means it makes our company better. I recently played against Dean, so let's see if he's on is it things again.
Okay,
But I think he played Celestia Company too quite a few times.
Hello?
All right, look at that. It's nice. Okay, what you got, Dean? Our good friend here.
British streamer A. Dean. It's kind of funny. It's playing at this time?
Yeah, right. That's dedication.
Yeah. Usually streams really early in the morning. And it's kind of funny.
All right, come on. Okay, Triumph.
Okay.
Interesting.
Pact? Yeah, I was just saying the same. I think it's still Mammoth here. Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. We can only play one spell anyways, and we have our third mana source here.
Is it Pact?
Actually, fourth mana source. All right, yeah. Let's see. It's actually kind of like sometimes you get draws with no counters or no blue sources, and it's kind of like, okay, I guess I'm ready to die.
Yeah, this is Pact. Hello.
Okay, Thirst. Fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, this is looking pretty good, though. Yeah, I guess we just slam Steel Leaf for sure.
I mean, there's no extinction event yet, so.
Yeah, totally.
Let's just bring in the big boys and.
I mean, it's pretty powerful stuff, though. Like, the creatures are pretty good in Historic.
Yeah. We didn't write Dean, though, to queue into us, by the way. We found the Pact matchup by pure luck.
So it's a non-Lurus version then as well.
I'm not happy about that.
Yourself. Are you going to win on turn 4? Yeah, the problem is we can't really get out of it. We're going to lose.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that one.
Okay, I got Rhonas.
Yeah.
I mean, fine, whatever.
If it is what it is, right? Let's see.
If we die, we die.
Yeah.
Now maybe we should have played a Troll, kind of walked into the Extinction event a little.
If we find a land, though, yeah, we definitely locked into Extinction event. But then it's also a one-off again. It's playing against this.
Yeah, it's one-off. That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so bad.
We're also kind of dead to Languish, unfortunately. Yeah, maybe we can actually find a land.
Good game. Oh, they missed the land. They missed the land.
Nice. Easy.
Okay. Yeah, never worked, by the way.
Right, so now to the tech. We cutting Primal Might for
Nimble.
The Obstructionist. we are cutting Vivian for company.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually cut one row. Wait, what are we doing? What else are we doing? I cut both Rhonases for Ceratopses, actually.
I like it.
Just because they can shut down
Yeah, the haste is huge,
the
right?
other creatures, and the Rhonas is unable to attack. It doesn't need to fight in this matchup.
Yep.
You're almost never gonna have mana to pump something, right? That's just out of realm of complete fantasy there. So yeah, okay. Now to the point where we go second, and then we can only play a 2-drop, and we need to hold on to the counter, right? Which is pretty absurd, but that's kind of how the game goes. Unless you want to risk it with them losing the game on turn 4 in the play.
Oh,
Which
I really
happened to me a fair share of times.
I hope we can showcase the obstructionist here.
Oh yeah, it hasn't happened for me yet. One time I was prepared to do it, it got thought seized, but the person also tutored for thought seize because they had an oracle in hand, and it was like, wow, it was absolutely infuriating. So we'll have to see here what happens. Okay, perfect. Sure. We have a blue source, we have a nice curve, and we have denial. That's kind of what we offer in this matchup.
A beautiful hand here. It Grixis now. 4-color pact.
Wow. Okay, this is actually quite nice too. Even if Llanowar dies, we'll still have a 2-drop.
Yep.
And then we'll just be chipping away with that because we'll probably just have to hold the denial there. Tome, okay.
That's fine. Ooh, good
okay,
card.
Perfect. We have company. That's amazing. All right. That number of companies coming through. So again, it's super important to play instant speed because it's super hard to add to the board and hold the counterspell mana.
And what
so
I like
the way
about
you do that is you play your thing end of turn, get some creatures, and then still have open mana to counter.
And even our creatures we have our hand are like, this is good off the board wipe. This is kind of good, right? So now we can just keep open, right? And just attack, which is great.
There's so many variations of the pack deck. Dean is missing land drops? Okay, not this time. Search.
Illegal.
Well, I think, again, we're in the perfect spot where Llanowar Elves will make a land drop attack for 5 and just hold company. Played company end of turn with chilling.
Exactly.
And we can also hasten the Ceratops, so we might even have a kill next turn.
Yep. Exactly.
Potentially.
It's really interesting. Search for Azcanta cannot be played on the MPL weekend. I mean, you're pretty sure you know the flip card rule.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you didn't know?
No, it got banned.
No, there's a 14 days. Yeah, the bug, and they banned all the flip cards from Ixalan, like even Landing, Azcanta. I mean, those two are the more notable.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty insane. All right. Yeah, I would slam a company. If they counter us in this spot, that's fine. Oh, that kind of whiffed. All right, no big deal.
It's just funny to see.
It happens.
Hello.
We can also safely play our Ooze. So since Ceratops is not a kill yet, Ooze will have to suffice, and we kind of just attack for 8 damage still.
Yep.
So not too bad at all. Yeah, that's fine. We'll let it die. It converts into 1 damage because we probably cannot risk losing at this stage.
Yeah, and now
if that was sorcery speed board sweeper, like we can definitely do that because now I do believe we have a Ceratops kill, right? If there's something like Shadow's Verdict, then we counter it or something like that.
He's looking at our mana and he's like, well, are they bluffing? Is this the Ooze that gives the stop there? What is it? You know?
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
And actually, it's also nice. It gives us an extra play. If Dean chooses to pass, we can start exiling the graveyard.
So this is no BM here. This is friendly banter between two people who know each other. So I'm pretty sure
I'm never upset about emotes.
Yeah, me neither.
Except the offensive good game, because I don't think that's the right culture.
Yeah, if you just keep good gaming, right? Like, some people do it because in other games you just say good game even if you win, right? Just to say it is a good game.
Well, I still don't really appreciate that, but okay, I'm not also like too mad at that either. It's just, I've been taught that, we can eat our mammoth, right? Alright, so we got 6, 7, +5. Okay, still not lethal quite yet, but...
Let's eat a card from the Azcanta there.
Yeah, absolutely. Cling it. Nice. Okay. That's fair.
Okay.
All right, what do we want to do?
I think we just troll here and attack.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we can definitely play the troll and attack. No big deal. It's like, it's fine. Like, it's the best we can offer to this matchup. And that's fine. Okay, like, we could bluff a double counter, right? But
Yeah,
it's kind of unnecessary because we actually still doing it because who knows, maybe we're running miscast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I definitely shock in here, right? Bluff
Yeah.
plus potential extra card from opponent's graveyard.
Yeah. Let's say we have denial miscast or denial spell pierce, something like that. Why not? Thassa's Oracle. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Bam.
All we can do.
Counter. Can we do it? Okay,
Yeah,
we actually had 3 mana up for the cycle.
Ha! We did it!
Okay,
that's the tech. That's the tech.
Thank you very much, Gene. We love you, buddies. Sorry
you,
about that, but we love you. Thank you for the good illustration of, like, well, not going to happen every time, guys, sure. Two open mana with blue could be Dispute, could be whatever, right? Pact of Negation. And then we lose, but that's fine. At least that's our strategy, and that's what we can offer to this matchup.
And
which I guess to be fair has been kind of warping the scene a little bit. Of course, you don't see some of the decks. You see kind of sacrifice decks on the decline and maybe some other stuff. So
yeah, super cool to play against this deck, and we played against the harder matchups as well, and we managed to come out as victors. So yeah, let's go to the outro. Super cool games. Okay, we had some great games with the deck. I'm mostly happy that we faced a pact opponent. Thanks again, Dean. And we faced the Selesnya Company deck, even though maybe opponent could have tried a bit more. But sometimes in the ladder, you just want to have a quick game, and we didn't know. Maybe there's only lands on hand, right? Possible as well. And we found a Nif Mizzet deck, which I like Nif Mizzet. It's just, I'm not sure how powerful it is. One point we want to talk about, Charles, is definitely the Cage. The Cage is a really interesting card against your company decks, right? Not many are playing it anymore due to the combo deck pact.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, what do you think could be changed in the sideboard in general and the main deck?
Well, it's a hard fit for pretty much anything else. I would say the more flexible thing is probably one copy of the Great Henge. I'm just not a big fan of something like Reclamation Sage, which would make most sense for you to run. I like that card in more of a traditional Azorius control matchup where you can remove Cage and then a bunch of other stuff like Baffling End, Castaway, and so on. So yeah, it would be hard to say. One interesting thing, maybe you could play Vivian Reed. It's a 5-mana Planeswalker, but maybe you could trim one copy of Henge for that.
Yeah, cool.
I like that card because our mana base, again, supports that. We have practically, again, 25 lands and 4 Llanowars, so it should function pretty well. So I would choose just more impactful card, just because if your Reclamation Sage doesn't hit a Cage specifically or a specific threat, it's just going to be so underwhelming because you have a 3-mana 2/1, right? It's so brutal. So that was basically my biggest struggle with the deck was sometimes cards being not impactful enough, and especially with things like Hand Disruption, which is pretty aggressive now with Inquisition of Kozilek. Like sometimes it's just crazy. You have you draw 1/1s off the top of your deck and then you can't do anything, right? And you kind of need that swing in your favor, which is which can be accomplished by cards like that, right? Like Vivian Arcbow Ranger or maybe Vivian Reed. So that would be honestly my choice for any sort of artifact hate, right? I love that card. It's kind of a win condition by itself. It has a pretty thick loyalty, and again, even the minus ability, you can destroy artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying as well. So that's pretty nice.
And the ultimatum is huge, right? Trample to everything. I mean, at that point, have fun. I like the card as well. I think you're right. I think that's probably the change. Now you completely convinced me of Vivian Reed there. I like it, but yeah, again, thanks again for having you here.
All right, thank you very much, Danny.
You can also see the entire guide with sideboarding on MTG Arena Zone. I will link it in the description below, and maybe you just came from there to the video as well. But yeah, Rint, let us know where we can find you, what you do, and so on.
All right. Okay, guys, I'm back to my regular streaming, and again, mostly green shenanigans. You can find me on Twitch TV/RintMS, which are initials for my name. I'm Maxim Salmon, and you can find me with the same handle on Twitter, at RintMS on Twitter, and I also have a YouTube channel. And you could probably find it in my descriptions on Twitter, because I don't have the set specific name on YouTube yet. So,
I put everything in the description below anyways, so people can find everything about you there. Yeah, thanks again, and always happy we do this. I think it's now about soon a year old when we did it, right? The last one.
Yeah, I think so. So. We did it maybe sometime in the summer.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Right.
So at least over half a year for sure.
Yeah. We should make better cycles than a year. Maybe we do every half a year one. We improve.
All right, sounds good. I'm always up for it. Thank you, Danny, very much for having me, and thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the deck. You can put up a fight. Feel free to tweak it, and also let me know what kind of changes you would suggest to this. And have fun, most importantly.
Definitely have fun, everyone, and see you next time.